PED ratios, what's the best ratio within your drug usage? William Llewellyn, hell of a book, Anabolics, if you haven't read it. Lots of great information on anabolics. Now, what's not the best information in my opinion? You have a lot of coaches out there saying you should run your PEDs or some dosages of drugs in ratios to each other. Why don't I think that works? Well, the reality is every individual we work with in front of us is going to have a propensity to respond to drugs differently. So for example, let's talk about primobolan and testosterone ran together. You know, a lot of very popular, common usage. So with that being said, a lot of people, you know, might say, well, you should run your primo at a 2-to-1 dose to your testosterone. So primo being a DHT derivative, great drug. Now, let's say you're running 500 milligrams of primo and 250 milligrams of testosterone. Again, some people might have that in a flipped order. Doesn't really matter. For argument's sake, we'll look at this. Well, there's going to be a lot of people who that ratio may specifically work very well with. However, what I've seen and what is fact is primobolan in a lot of people will actually control and manage estrogen very well. So if this is somebody who doesn't get estrogenic side effects from testosterone and they're not aromatizing very heavily, we're actually going to push their estrogen down. And you could be pushing their estrogen down way too far. Now on the flip side, primo may be a great drug for somebody if you have, you know, maybe you get them to 300, 400, 500 milligrams of testosterone and they start to aromatize. Well, maybe we can swap the milligrams of test out, pull 100 milligrams of test and put in 100 milligrams of primo, and that's going to control that estrogen conversion. So to answer this question about what's the ideal ratio when dosing PEDs, my answer is there's no ideal ratio, and I think ratios are complete asinine bullshit. I think you need to find dosages that work for people and then add compounds based on what also works for that person and the goal that you're putting that compound in for. So for instance, with primobolan, if the goal is to continue to get growth, but mitigate the side effect that comes with estrogen coming up, you might swap milligram to milligram. Now for some people, that might be, you know, a 2-to-1 primo to test. That might be a 1-to-1 primo to test, or that might be a 2-to-1 test to primo. There is no on paper dosage that's going to work from a ratio standpoint perfect for everyone. We have to look at the client that's in front of us, the needs of that client and the responses of that client to drugs, and make small adjustments through the course of that cycle to benefit that athlete the most.